An update on the government's free testing plans. A family feud leaves one man dead, and a large drug bust over on Grand Bahama lands two men behind bars. Good evening, everyone. I'm Leah Cooper with your JCN News for this Thursday, October 7th. Prime Minister Philip Davis contends that the mandatory weekly COVID-19 testing for all unvaccinated employees at the Atlantis resort will likely fall away once the government fulfills its promise of providing free COVID-19 testing for the population. Effective the 1st of October, Atlantis required all employees who are not vaccinated to foot the bill for their weekly rapid antigen testing at a cost of $16.50 per test. While speaking to reporters on a myriad of issues during the opening of Parliament, Mr. Davis says that he has spoken with Atlantis officials on this topic.
I could confirm that I've had meetings with the president of Brookfield, the person charged with the responsibility of Atlantis, and she explained to me when I raised the issue of the vaccination being paid for by employees that this was a compromise that she arrived at with a corporate office. She advised that all employees of Brookfield, all their properties, wherever they worked, were required to be vaccinated. Vaccination is mandatory for anyone who wishes to continue their employment with Brookfield. She appreciates the concern that we have about mandatory vaccination, and she reached a compromise with her corporate office.
The compromise being that if Atlantis were to ask persons who wanted to continue to work at the resort that they pay for their testing, that might encourage them to get vaccinated.
But when we left the meeting, they were going to revisit the issue of whether they continue to pay. But at the same time, we did indicate to her our desire to put in place free testing, which we are still working on the logistics as to how we can get it done. And so that may fall away in respect to the cost to the employee.
Prime Minister Davis says that the government is actively working towards implementing free testing, but they have asked the Atlantis resort to reconsider having employees pay for their own testing. Prime Minister Philip Davis also defending himself once again for calling on a United States court to terminate criminal proceedings against Island Luck co-founder Adrian Fox. During the opening of Parliament on Wednesday at the Bahamar Convention Center, Mr. Davis held a brief press conference to address some issues, including his relationship with Mr. Fox.
The charge that Mr. Fox is facing now is a misdemeanor. He's being charged with mishandling or negligent handling of a vessel, of a boat, and it's a misdemeanor. And as I indicated before, he was my client. Pre-2012, I was acting for him. I was acting for him in this matter as a lawyer. When we lost in 2017, he engaged me for advice in respect to the matter, and I wrote the letter for him, which I said I'll do again because I've recognized how he has reordered his life for quite a while.
In April 2010, a United States grand jury indicted Mr. Fox for, quote, aiding and abetting the bringing in of persons whom he knew to be aliens into the United States at a place other than a designated port of entry. Now, Mr. Davis, in defending Mr. Fox, says this.
The good that he's been doing in our communities, particularly in our distressed communities, and particularly now when so many people are hurting, is commendable. And not to consider what we have been raising, the second chance, it baffles me. And to tie me to supporting criminality is just, again, the only way they know how to be negative in respect to me.
Mr. Davis was one of several Progressive Liberal Party members who wrote character references in support of Mr. Fox before the general election. They all urged the judge to impose a light, non-custodial sentence on Mr. Fox over the role he played in a human smuggling operation more than a decade ago. Prime Minister Davis contends that he would do it again if given the chance. Meantime, the Free National Movement, in a statement released Tuesday afternoon, bashed Prime Minister Davis for his comments, which they describe as astonishing and reprehensible. The statement explained that the administration attained a Tier 1 ranking in the regional fight against human trafficking, which destroys the lives of many innocent missing children and sexually exploit young women. The statement is also critical of a number of PLP hierarchies who wrote to the trial judge on behalf of Mr. Fox, which the FNM says it is evident that Mr. Davis's letter dated August 10, 2021 was not in his personal capacity as suggested by Mr. Davis. The FNM says such a callous indulgence of Mr. Fox by the Prime Minister and the government does not reflect well on the Bahamas and is an invitation for heightened scrutiny of the Bahamas' commitment to the global fight against human trafficking. The FNM says the Prime Minister's comments display an arrogant and in-your-face attitude, which is deeply damaging to the Bahamas and should be utterly condemned by the all right-thinking Bahamians. In our national COVID-19 news, the Ministry of Health confirming 60 additional positive cases for Wednesday, October 6. New Providence carrying the majority of cases with 48. Eleuthera with 6, Grand Bahama 3, and Exuma, Andros, and Mayaguana confirming 1 case each. A further breakdown of the cases revealed that 28 are male and 32 are female. Total cases now stand at 21,518. A total of 1,145 are currently active. Unfortunately, the death toll continues to rise in country as health officials confirm 4 additional COVID-19 deaths. All deaths are females from Grand Bahama, ranging in age from 42 to 88 years old. One death that was previously under investigation has now been reclassified as a COVID-19 related death. Further, there are 3 additional deaths currently under investigation, bringing that category to 82. Total COVID-19 deaths in country stand at 586. Meantime, hospitalizations still in the triple digits, with 162 cases fighting the virus in hospital, 144 considered moderately ill, while 18 battle the virus in ICU. A total of 223 cases recovered yesterday. Total recovered cases now stand at 19,605. You're watching JCN News. Stay with us.